Okay, it's Dialogue with Mo on our special edition. Today is Wednesday. I hope you're winning today. And we have a very special guest, Jason
I think that's special.
Hannans, also known as Barzini to many loved ones. So if you're on, send us a note, send us a wave. I see some people watching. We're watching for your comments and we're interacting with, speaking about relationships. Hey, Kiara. Okay. Hey, Fred. I see you, Blue. And we're in for a treat. So I hope you have your beverage of choice, your notepad, your pen, and some popcorn because it gets a little colorful with Jason and I. So
everybody that's been on their shows and online, as soon as my name comes up, everybody is like, I don't think I'm that bad personally.
Well, I see Tony. Hey, Tony. Hey, Betty. I see though too. I see Kiara. Kiara says hi.
Hey,
and as you come in, wave because we will go to the comments. Both Jason and I can see. Jason, can you see the comments?
I have a comment section. I'm actually on your page and I have it up. So the comment section I have open. So,
okay.
And if I can, you can just like feed me comments, or if someone had questions, then I'll kind of address it there if that's going to be faster.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so let's get started. So as typical with every Dialogue with Mo, I like to introduce and have the guest introduce himself, or should I say I like to reference how we know each other, and then I'll let him introduce himself because he has a way with words, everyone. And so Jason, we have known each other for over 20 years. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is what question you asked me a few days ago is like, mostly when did we become friends? And I'm like trying to describe the first day we met. And you're like, that's not when we became friends. So I definitely want to talk about that. We've been friends for a long time through Greek Love. He's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. As you know, I'm a member of Zeta Phi Beta. And from there, I mean, we shared the stage at different step shows and things of the sort. So let's get into it. Like, Jason, tell the people about yourself.
I'm really not that big of a deal, so it's not much to tell. My name is Jason Hannans, also known as Barzini to most people, especially in the Greek world. I am an author, educator, and transformational strategist. And with that, I know some people are like, what's a transformational strategist? But my purpose is training and development, and that's the vein that I live in. So personal transformation, professional transformation, cultural transformation, organizational transformation are my areas of study. I've been in school forever studying these things. So like my degrees are in behavioral and social sciences, organizational management, transformational leadership. I'm working on my doctoral, and I have a master's in global training and development. So these areas are places that I use to help people discover the inner workings of themselves to become better personally and professionally.
Wow. I mean, I think transformation is the key statement for this moment. And I see some people that came on, so we're going to take a moment and say, hey, Melody. Hey, Bryce. Hey, Tandaway. Let's see, Reba, Regina. Ooh, hey.
You got a cracker today, huh?
I told you. It's you, Jay. It's you. And, you know, it's 5 o'clock, so I'm going to invite you to have your beverage. It's happy hour somewhere. Your beverage of choice, strawberry lemonade, spiked lemonade, whatever you want to have. And we are talking about relationships and communication. And Jason, you were the first person I thought of when I wanted to speak about male, female, anything when we started the series. So, and he was actually the first person, oh my God, I'm going to tell the story. You're actually the first person I sent a message to request to have a dialogue with. And I think I sent you a text. And ladies, I had to play it cool because Jason is a cool brother and he is all man. So he don't get caught up in the woman. He understands the woman dialogue and dialect, I'm going to call it, but he'll address it in man. And so I had to carefully word this for you because I knew he was going to come back with something crazy.
So you know what? I just call it logic. That's, you know, what I acknowledge is that men and women have two completely different ways of thinking, two completely different ways of processing information, and two different ways of delivering information.
Ooh,
And we get things get lost in translation because we are trying to hear each other through our own way of decoding. And so in communication, there are two facets that are simultaneously working, which is encoding and decoding. So encoding is the speaker and decoding is the listener. And so not everything that one encodes is what someone else decodes. And so in that transfer of communication, something can get lost in translation. Right. And we're hearing through our gender specific mindset. Yeah. And come to a conclusion based on that. So the way that we communicate and the way that we encode has to be such that is conducive for the receiver as opposed to ourselves, if we need to communicate effectively.
I'm about to say, because that sounds like a lot of work on one side.
And therein lies the problem.
Hi, Stephanie. Hey, Brittany. Tony's listening. Hey, Shaw. Okay, I mean, so I'm thinking about, I sent you an email because you tell me, mostly send me an email because you need to prepare. Like, he's giving me background information on how to work this, and I appreciate his knowledge and his skill set. So I'm following his instructions, right? I'm following your instructions. And then I say, okay, send me, let me know that you received this email. You know what he responded, you guys? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, what? Yes, ma'am, you received it. Yes, ma'am, I will let you know when I get it. What the hell? And I was like, here we go.
So here's the question. Did I respond in the email?
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Okay, but you said let you know if you received it. I received it. Did you receive it? I said, yes, ma'am.
I said, let me know that you received it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I'm like,
So here's the thing. In my head, I thought that I was responding to, yes, I received the email. Okay. But my question is, if that wasn't specific, if you did not know what I meant, then why didn't you ask?
Because I was like, okay, do I want to have, because you know why I did respond? Hey, Shaw, I see Shaw's over there from New York. Thanks, Blue. Thanks for checking us out. I think you know Shaw. You probably have. You guys probably met, like at Step Correct or something like that. But so I thought about that, but really what I was thinking is, what if he's busy? I don't want to feel like I'm bombarding him with a bunch of words, because men often say, women, we use a lot of words to get our point across.
So use less words. Was that yes, the email? Yes, you will let me know. Like, you could have simplified that. I mean, the email itself was a lot of words already, and I was busy when you sent the email, but it's email, so that means I'll read it when I get a chance.
Right. Did you read it?
I did.
Okay, you did.
Hence, who arranged a pre-call for this talk?
Okay, you did. True. True.
To make sure all your tech and everything was straight. So yes, I read the email.
Okay.
It was very thorough.
I followed instructions.
Followed instructions.
And that's hard sometimes. Oh, it's so hard. Sometimes.
Why is it hard? So why is it hard to follow instructions?
Because I feel like when you know me, then why do I have to go through these 15 million hoops if you already know me? But I did it because there's people I'm going to interact with that don't know me. Exactly. So I follow the instructions.
There you go. And it worked out, right?
We're getting started.
You wrong. My shit always works sometimes.
What?
I said my shit always works sometimes.
Okay. Let's see what we're gonna get into first. See, Tony's laughing already. I told y'all. Okay, so let's see. Okay, where do I want to start? Oh my goodness. I think I'm gonna start with a little candidness. So we had an offline conversation about, walking around the house. I'm a near empty nester. I like that I'm a near empty nester. And so sometimes that means I am walking around in my birthday suit. And we were having a discussion about, Why
And
we agree.
you need to get some audience feedback for this as well.
Okay, audience. So women, tell me if you agree. And you know, the brothers come in here too. I'm walking around in my birthday suit because it's my house. I pay the mortgage and I'm at home, staying at home safer, and all these other reasons. So why do I need to put clothes on?
Because you have 2 sons at home.
Okay. So one of my sons is not here right now. And the other one, I just tell him to close his door.
That's not that wasn't you. That was so after the fact. That was so after the fact. Yours is uncomfortable. Like what? I don't see what's wrong. And I asked you the question. Okay, if you think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, especially when he's the one telling you to put clothes on,
True.
right?
I forgot.
And you like, why? I don't understand what's wrong. And so I said, okay, if a single father was raising a daughter, would it be okay for him to walk around naked?
Okay, and my response is, and still is, men don't walk around naked.
That's not answering the question. And yes, we do.
You guys, you're naked. Since the naked is your boxers.
See, and here's the problem. I'm a man. I've been a man for a long time, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting here telling you, yes, we walk around naked. Hold up, but you think that we don't because we're boxers because we're around you, right?
Okay.
So you got 2 boys. Do your boys walk around naked? No, because they're around you.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I live alone, and if not for this call, I would not have clothes on.
Ladies, y'all want to see Jay with no clothes on? Let me stop. Yeah. Okay. Shaw says naked only with my lady or alone. Okay. Okay. All right.
You feel me? So,
okay. Hey, Ebony.
That listening thing is important.
You know,
but you still haven't answered the question, though. You still haven't answered the question. Your knee-jerk response kept saying, "Oh, men don't do that." Now that you've had 2 men tell you, "Yes, we do," would it be appropriate, in your estimation, for a father to walk around naked in front of his daughter?
Well, Shaw just said that men walk around naked when they're alone or with their lady. So technically, he wouldn't be naked if he had a daughter.
The question is, is it appropriate for
Hey, Andrea. Andrea's on.
Naked? What's going on, best friend? Is it appropriate for a man to walk around naked in front of his daughter? And
you guys both are proving my point that a man wouldn't do that.
I'm asking you a direct question. That is a yes or no answer.
You know,
listen, I'm a dancer too. I can dance too when you dancing around this question. So yes or no. And you're not answering to try to justify what your son been telling. It's not even me telling you. Your son telling you put clothes on and you like, why? And I'm answering the question.
So Andrea said, hell no, it's not appropriate.
I concur.
So why don't I put clothes on?
What does Mosi say? Is it appropriate for a man to walk around naked in front of his daughter?
Oh my God, I don't see that happening.
Think about that till I flip the script, right? Your boys are telling you, "Mom, put on some clothes," and you're like, "Why?" And so when I painted the picture for you from a different perspective, and the reason why that you're dancing around is because you want to be right instead of being like.
Y'all said I'm bobbing and weaving like Mayweather.
Exactly, you got that shoulder roll.
Okay, so would it be appropriate? It would probably not be appropriate.
Probably not.
It would probably. It wouldn't be appropriate. No, it wouldn't be appropriate.
That was that difficult?
So Tony, yes, it was. Oh my God.
What's so hard about was like okay, I see your point.
Tony says creatures of habit. She wears dresses with no bra around the house, but never naked. I have too many deliveries and too many kids. Girl, I tell people right now, if they come to my house, y'all better call before you come. Let me know you're coming because it may be a minute before I open the door. And depending on how well I know you, I'm going to open the door. And, you know, you might
I mean, that's something different. But your boys, the other residents of the address are saying, "Hey, Mom, you mind not being naked?"
And I'm saying, close your door.
I mean, it's your house. If you're telling them to close their door, whatever. But all I'm saying is, as far as the appropriate nature of it, or let's say, or the comfort. Like when they were smaller, it was like whatever. But you also said something that you're trying to get them used to seeing titties all the time, or whatnot.
I was gonna say that.
But hey, you already know me, so you can't normalize it because then he's gonna be immune to it with his woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
His woman ain't gonna be excited, like, because you don't want his response. You don't want any man that's with you when you try to turn him on with some nudity, and he's like, "Ah, shit, that ain't nothing. I've seen my mama titties my whole life." Like, that's not gonna be the response that you want.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And you never want a man to equate your titties with his mama's titties.
Yeah, that right there just kind of
right.
Yeah.
We call that's awkward.
Okay. So women should put their clothes on when they have male children.
I believe so. Now, I thought some may disagree. I believe so. I don't want to see my mama naked.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you should give a warning.
Or whatever. I just don't. I don't want to see it.
Okay. And Shaw said he can't stand women on social media twerking while their kids are around for the likes. And he said facts. I think he was saying facts too. We don't want to equate our female body parts with their mother body parts. You're right about that. We want to still feel special with y'all.
Right. I'm just saying. For some reason, I can't see the comments so much. Just like defer to you.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, he liked that. Okay, so where do we start? You know what? I want to start because we're coming out of COVID, or we're transitioning to whatever normal is going to look like for us now. And so let's talk about dating. And one of the questions that I have personally, because I was thinking about this, is saying, hold on. Ebony said, absolutely, after a certain age, clothes have to be worn. Girl, she has a daughter. You understand? When you
well, think about it this way: you would you want your sons walking around the house naked?
They don't.
Would you want them to? Would you allow it? Like if your son decided, you know what, mom walk around naked, I'm gonna just walk around naked.
That would probably traumatize me.
Are you gonna be like, hey son, or are you gonna be go put some clothes on?
I would say go put some clothes on. That's true.
Bam. Case closed. Okay, cool.
But we're moving from what?
Moving on.
Okay, let's see. Hey mom, my mom's on. She says she's agreed. Okay, we're not gonna talk to her. We're not gonna talk no more about it because where you think I learned it from? All right.
Hey, listen, I have met your mom. I'm sorry, it was a long time ago. She don't remember me. But hey, listen. We gonna be candid for the people. Your mama know about your titties. She birthed them.
Right. But so I know about my son's penises. I birthed them.
And yet you don't want them walking around with. Get to the dating part. We've already established. Like, put them up. Everybody put their stuff away.
Everybody respect everybody.
Everybody put their stuff away.
Okay, so let's see. So dating and post-COVID. And I feel that men have more of a reluctance to giving details of information. Like a man doesn't come out and tell, like he'll say, I'm gonna step out, I'll be right back. Whereas a woman would say, I'm gonna step out, go to the store, I'll probably stop by and see my homegirl, and then I'm gonna stop and get some food, and I'll come back.
Okay.
So now coming out of COVID, what is your thought about men or women, how we asking more questions or the dialogue increasing?
About?
See?
No, I'm saying about. Like, here's the thing. Like, why do you need all that information, like, right then and there?
I mean, coronavirus. I mean, like, how many people were you hanging with before we came together?
Okay, so, all right. So if I say, all right, going to the store, and I might happen to make a couple of stops on the way back. I don't know. I might have been at the store and, hey, thought about, oh, you know what? Let me stop at Target. It's right there. You know what? I need to get some gas. I'm going to go to the gas station real quick. You know what? I don't even want to cook. I'm going to just go over here to Taco Bell and just pick up something, you know what I'm saying, for everybody. Do I need to detail all of that?
I mean, I would say prior to COVID, maybe not.
But why even post-COVID? What is that going to change?
I mean, I think more so I'm thinking about posts with people, like the intersection with different people outside of
but the effect of letting you know.
Hold on, Donna just said, what did she walk in on?
Right. No, but letting you know that I'm going to all these places isn't changing me going to all these places. So I don't I don't understand the purpose of it. And that's another example of, like I was saying, you want men to communicate the way that you communicate. If you know that we're few words,
okay,
then why does it bother you so much that we're few words? You see what I'm saying? Like you sent me a whole manifesto dissertation of an email, and I responded with 2 words, right?
but you requested the dissertation.
I requested information, yes. So
No, you requested
I
the
wasn't
dissertation.
specific on how you. No, I will. That is not a knock. I'm just saying that it was extremely detailed.
Okay.
But then you brought up as a topic my response being 2 words. But yet they both serve their purpose, right?
Right.
So I'm saying I got the information that I needed. You got the information that you needed. I was just able to do it in less words. So.
Okay.
You telling me that you all the stops you want to, huh?
We got new joiners. We're gonna say hi to Melody. Hi Nicole. Let's see. Hey Komaa. Andrea says she's hashtag team no kids. Do what you want. Meaning walk around the house how you feel. Girl, I feel that way after almost 18 years. I'm just saying, over 18 years. And then let's see. I'm looking at the comments. So if you have comments, please, we will get to them as we go through. Tony says she be communicating. Okay, Andrea says she doesn't need all the details. Andrea. Okay, Andrea says she doesn't need all the details. She only needed them when she didn't trust who she was with. Good point. Otherwise,
exactly. And that's how, hold on, wait.
He said, and bring her
pause right there, because that's usually a lot of where men have a problem with that over communicating thing, like in all the questions. Asking us a whole bunch of questions often indicates to us that you don't trust us. You see what I'm saying? So like, if you got to know every movement, like that's not how we operate. It's like, hey, I'm going out for a minute. I'll be back. Well, where you doing? Well, what time you going to come back? Well, and if I say, you know what, hey, I'm going to the store. And if I happen to stop anywhere else other than the store, you got a problem because I didn't include that in the information, regardless of when I decided to do it. Well, why you didn't tell me?
Only if a woman doesn't
you
trust.
You was going to the store, huh?
And that's only if a woman doesn't trust. That shows a lack of trust.
Well, I'm not even going to say that the woman doesn't trust. I'm saying that sometimes that's how women operate, but that's how sometimes we can interpret it as a lack of trust. Sometimes it is a lack of trust. Sometimes it is an insecurity. Sometimes you just want to know information, but it's the way that we interpret that. You know what I mean? And we begin to feel restricted. Like, damn, I can't, as a grown man, I'm 42 years old. You mean to tell me I got to let you know that I'm detouring the target? You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing something home from the house. But because I didn't tell you that, it's a problem. Why?
Well, for the people who are just joining in, we're talking with Jason Hannans, also known as Barzini, and we're speaking about relationships and communication. And we started this topic speaking about how men and women, we may hear things and decode information differently. And the way we deliver it is you may need to do some work behind it if you want an authentic dialogue that is well received. And then we start talking about walking around the house naked with having sons, and is that equivalent to a man walking around naked if he was a single father? And so those are the cliff notes that a few people were looking for. And then sometimes less is more when it comes to communicating. Tony is saying, and Andrea is saying, and honestly, when you don't press, they give up the information anyways. And
she got that conversation.
Yeah. She need a friend Zoom eventually. Oh, she needs a friend Zoom eventually. She don't like typing out all of her thoughts. Laughing her behind. We gonna have
but I'll give up some free game about men.
Okay.
And our communication. It's not that a complaint about men often is that we don't communicate. And that's not true. What that's really saying is you don't communicate the way we would like you to. And the reality is, the more space you give a man, the less he takes, right?
Okay.
If you sit back, we communicate in chunks, right? Okay. The biggest thing for us, communication is to men what sex is to women, right?
Really?
There is a level of trust that has to occur with free communication, right?
Okay. Right.
When men complain about women sexually, right, and not doing the things that he wants her to do, like, man, she won't do this. This is like all the nasty stuff she want him to do. 9 times out of 10, the reason why she's not doing that is because he hasn't made her comfortable enough to do it. You know what I mean? She does not trust him enough to be able to do it. Like, there's a lot of stake. Hey, I need to know that if I'm doing this, you're not running around telling everybody your boys like this is us, that you're not just using me for this. There has to be that comfort and that trust in order for you to, you know what I'm saying, be free and open with him, right? It's the same thing for us in communication. Because what we do with you sexually, we can ultimately use against you, because the social stigma is you gonna be you a hoe, right? Now with us, in order to communicate and be open with how we feel, what we think, and everything else, we have to feel comfortable and we have to be able to trust you, lest you use what we tell you against us. You see what I mean? And so this is why when you look at like relationship paradigms, it's women are emotionally first, physical second. Like your emotional fulfillment trumps your physical fulfillment, right? Whereas we're primary physical fulfillment, secondary emotional fulfillment. It's not that we don't need those secondary things, we just don't lead with that. Women would lead with their heart, men lead with our body, right? Because we're not emotionally, that's not the way to our heart. When a woman can have sex, there's a chance that she's going to become emotionally attached to that act. Well, a man, when he opens up his heart, he gets emotionally attached to you, because now you know parts of him that the average person, and certainly the average woman, doesn't know. The same way that this man over here, that you did these things that you've never done with any other man, he knows these sacred parts of you, you see? So that's why men, hey, we can go sleep with this woman, and there's no emotional attachment. It's like, oh yeah, we had sex. No, I don't like her. We just had sex. Whereas women fall in and out of like all the time. Like, oh girl, I like him. No, girl, I don't like him. His breast stink. Oh girl, I like him. No, I don't like him. He broke. Oh, I like him. No, I don't like him. His mom, he a mama's boy. Whatever, y'all fall in and out of like we fall in and out of bed. You see what I'm saying? But once the paradigm, right? So once we trust and have a level of comfort, the paradigm shifts. So now, once a man trusts you, and you trust him, you ready to, hey, you know what's up? You know what I mean?
Now let's talk about that. That's real big. Hey, Lena, let's see. I know, no, we haven't covered when a man is ready to settle down, but we're going to get into that soon. And Andrea, giving you kudos. That was Hanifa. Let's see. Hey, Tamisha. Tamisha's watching. Okay, so Tony says, okay, if you give me hints, I'll hint back. Now, how do you like that? Direct communication is best, but hinting is exciting and sexy, I guess. No, to me, it's flirt. Okay, so let's talk about hinting, and I almost want to intersect it with flirting, because a man can hint conversation with you and really have no guys behind it. Like, it's just like, it's empty words.
We're not really hinters though. We're pretty direct.
Okay.
And because women are such thinkers, it's like if a man says, like, we're having a dialogue and he goes, like, you say something funny, he's like, you know, he's laughing like, girl, I like you.
Right.
And so the homegirl's like, what did he say? Girl, I mean, he said he liked me, but what did he mean? Like, he liked me just like because we talking because I'm funny? Does he mean he liked me like me? I don't know what he meant. Like, she's like, well, did you ask? Like, no, I don't want to ask because I don't want to say. Like, and y'all just had this whole thing going on.
So true, so true.
Just because I said I like you, I'm not talking about like I'm let's go try on rings. I'm saying like, hey, I like you, like you cool, I enjoy you. You see what I'm saying? Or you know, like, but it's very simple. And again, communication. Sometimes we oversimplify what women say, and then women can overthink and exacerbate what men say because you're so detail oriented. Well, we're a lot simpler as far as our communication. We're typically fewer words, and we typically say what we mean. You know what I mean?
So I think this is a good introduction to your book. So Jason is an author, and he has a book. Can we show your book? Hello, me. Nice to meet you.
Hello, me. Nice to meet you. A journey to self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book is just it's a book of perspective.
Okay.
And not unlike relationships, self-discovery, the relationship with yourself has a lot to do with discovering who you are. To have an effective relationship with someone else, you have to learn who they are, how they work,
Mm-hmm.
learn about their past, learn about their traumas, learn what, you know, their turn-ons and turn-offs.
Right.
Well, this book is much like that, but with self. And so there's a lot of principles and methodologies as far as the process that I went through to get to the point where I am in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that I've had to overcome, um, and become a different person. But the biggest point, especially, and I touched it like right in the beginning of the book in chapter one. Chapter one is give yourself permission.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it begins with the quote: give yourself permission to be who you are, not who others expect you to be.
Okay.
And so that permissive power of saying it's okay for me to become this person, but also understanding that becoming is not a destination, it's a constant journey.
Mm.
So I say in the book that our path to purpose is a constant reintroduction to the many versions of ourselves that we will become.
Okay.
So you might be a different person this time next year, and then a year after that, you've grown into someone different. You've never get yourself to a point to where you feel like you have arrived, because then you become complacent and you can allow success to defeat you. You know,
That's good.
and our achievements, it's almost like that Al Bundy syndrome. Like, hey, I once scored 4 touchdowns in one game, and that's all he ever. You know what I
All
mean?
he ever did. Yeah.
But as opposed to, you know what, hey, I did that. And instead of resting on your laurels, like appreciate that, be grateful. But now what's the next thing? And constantly learning to grow and find who you are and find that purpose, and just hone in on that, and grow into mass achievements everywhere. So it's definitely a journey. Those who have read it have sent me great reviews about it, the things that they're learning about themselves. My favorite one is somebody was trying to buy it at a bookstore and it was sold out. So that was exciting.
Oh.
A book I didn't even know it was in. So that was pretty dope. But I haven't even done the hard launch yet. I did a soft launch, just
Okay.
basically, hey, the book is there, but I
Mm-hmm.
have some things in the works. So I want everybody to look out for that. And the mission is to have 1 million copies sold worldwide. So I'm going to be creating some exclusive content for free for people to enjoy about the book, to, to kind of market it for them to, purchase it themselves and tell someone else to purchase it, and thus and so. So I'm
And
excited
if
about
you're
it.
looking, the book is available on Amazon, and you can find Barzini on Instagram at Barzini Speaks. Hey, Trinice. Hey, Aaron. Your frat brother, Aaron's on. Hey, who else? Hey, Ogechi. I see you, Neo. Andrea says she needs royalties for being a case study. And
She is
marketing.
definitely, a lot of that stuff comes from breakfast, her sitting across the table. So
Wow.
listen, I practice a lot of this stuff on my friends, like the stuff that I wrote about. If I went through it, and then, like, bam, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
she's got a thriving business right now, and I'll let her tell her story.
Yes.
But I just remember a time when she wasn't where she is now, and she's still growing and still thriving. But it's amazing to see what she's doing, who she is now, the confidence, going from unsure to expert, and walking in that. It's sometimes I look from the shadows, and even when she thinks that I don't see, I see. So it's just amazing to see her growth. And
I love her.
that's not me taking credit for that. We friends. It's just
On blue, Andrea. Okay.
right. No, I took pleasure in being able to pour into her, and she was able to pull out what was already there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So while you're there, I want you to stay there, and I want to talk to you from this standpoint. I see some more ladies join. We spoke about, the trust and the detailed questions a woman may ask a man, and may come off that she doesn't necessarily trust him, when she's actually just like maybe seeking understanding, and they're learning how to communicate.
mm-hmm.
How would a woman recognize when a man is in a place where he's ready to open up and talk to her?
He'll talk to her.
Okay. So, so then let me say this. Here, talk to her. So, ladies, you have to recognize. I believe there's a point of recognition when you're speaking to a man, especially a man you have interest in. And what I've learned over my years as a woman is that I missed some of those points because I was just going, going, going. My head was moving, not paying attention. And sometimes it's so simple. Like you said, just say one thing and you're like, 3 days later, it resonates that he said something really major at that moment. But
or
you guys
not.
so see.
It's more like it's I will say this from our perspective, and I know women like concrete, definitive information and like, hey, what is it? Sometimes we don't know. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we haven't thought it through that far. You know what I mean? Like if you and I are dating and I'm feeling you, I may not just come out and say I'm feeling you, but hey, we going out, we doing things, I'm giving you my time. Like for me, my three major values are my time, peace, and my freedom. And if I'm giving, my time is my most prized possession. If I am giving you my time and I'm enjoying that, I may not know yet where I want this to go, but what I do know is I am enjoying right now. You know, these moments that I'm having right now. And it's the way that you respond to those moments is going to dictate whether I want to continue to enjoy these moments with you. Right. But it can get sullied with every time we're together. It's, what are we? So where's this going? So what are we doing? And we're like, oh, bro, can we just we just chilling? Can we just chill? You know what I'm saying? Can we do it? I'm still trying to figure out, because the misconception that people say is, oh, when a man wants you, he gonna let you know, and it don't take that long. That's not true. That is not true. There is not some inherent gene being grown with the penis that lets you know exactly what you want with somebody at any given moment. Because we have some of the same conversations with our bros. It's like, man, bro, I don't know, like she cool, but there's this thing, you know what I mean? Like everybody thinks that just because we're men that is shit or get off the pot. That's not how we always operate. Now, because there will be times to where we think we're sure, and yeah, we'll go after it. Okay. And then it still doesn't work out. So how sure were we? You know, and then we're like, man, I should have waited. Damn, I rushed into that. You know what I mean? So, because I've done that. I've been like my last relationship, I was sure. And she was even telling me like she had reservations. And I'm like, nah, I did that pursuit and persistence thing. Nah, what's up? But when I went after it. And then when she gave in, and then like we got in it, and I was like, how I get out of this? Like I was wrong. I should have listened to her. You feel me? Woo! So it ain't, listen, we love cliches. Okay. You know what I'm saying? We love templates, and it don't always work. We have this idea that this is how it's supposed to go. Men are supposed to be this way and do these things, and women are supposed to sit back and receive. And if this template was how it's supposed to go, then why do the majority of relationships not work?
Good point. Good point.
You see what I'm saying?
Good point. Somebody said, so Ebony said we need to put that on some merchandise. She said you need to be a merch king. She said, oh, you are the merch king. Melody said, and when a man talks a lot, is there something to it? It's not often that
is there something to it?
Without it turning into an alternative motive. Let me say it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so Melody said, and when a man talks a lot, is there something to it? It's not often that she finds a man talking a lot without it turning into an alternative motive.
No, he's a talkative person. Like, what is he saying? You know, you got a lot of people who talk a lot and ain't saying shit. You know, and then you have some who are men of few words, but those few words are like, boom, and then he's back in the shadows. You know, so again, there is no template to say every man is this way and every man communicates. It's like me, I'm a communicator. I'm that dude. I'm gonna let you know what I think, sometimes to your detriment. You know what I mean? And I'm an upfront type person, and then I find a lot of women can't handle that. Oh, he's an asshole. He's mean. I'm like, no, like you say you want honesty, but then when you get it, then you mad at how you got it.
You mad at how you got it. Okay.
Right. And so again, we often say, people say, oh, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
You don't agree?
I do not. Because if I have to cater the truth to spare your feelings, then it ceases to be the truth.
You're speaking in directly in interpersonal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. So if my meaning is, oh, we love this question, baby, am I getting fat? Right. And we always, and every dude just like, oh, if she asks you that, like, right? So what we're told is we have to say things, oh, you look good to me.
Uh-huh.
You know, something like that, right? So you can feel better. But my truth, my reality is absolutely, babe, you are getting big as hell. And quite frankly, I'm not even attracted to you right now because you refuse to do anything about it. You don't look like you did when I met you. And I'm putting up with it, but I'm actually struggling to remain attracted to you right now. Like that's
what y'all want to say.
That's the truth. That's his truth. But he can't say that. Right? You see what I'm saying? However, as a woman though, you can say whatever you want, and the excuse is, oh, well, she's a woman.
Ooh.
And if we get upset, it's, oh, the male ego is so fragile.
Oh, I've heard that before.
You see what I'm saying? As if we're supposed to just take any and everything you say and never have a feeling about it.
We got some reaction over there with that one.
I can't pronounce his name. Is that Komaa? Whatever.
Komaa.
Yeah, he said, what is it? He said filters are
valuable in communication.
I agree and disagree. That's a married man talking, I'm sure.
Yes, he is.
There you go. That's a married man. So that's a man speaking who wants peace at home. You feel me? We value our peace and we'll do what's necessary for peace. So I respect that.
And so Betty said it's rude as hell.
But it's so is it safe to say by these responses you don't want the truth?
You know,
either you want it or you don't want the truth.
We want to deliver it. We want to deliver it correctly.
No. Here's
hold on, Jay. It's like Amazon throwing your box over the freaking garage and telling you that it was delivered. Like, wait, what?
No, that's Amazon saying no. Amazon delivering you something. You open it and it's not what you thought it was going to be, and you go back and check your order, and they're like, no, this is what you ordered. That's like you looked at the picture and you're like, there's some pieces missing. Like, no, you didn't order the phone, you ordered the phone case. You feel me? So
my son is laughing.
But my thing is this, if I have to change the truth, it's not the truth.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
It's not the truth. So I don't think you want the truth. Because not only that, when I'm saying it, you want me to cater what I feel and filter what I feel in order to preserve and protect what you feel. Okay. So at what point do I get to express how I truly feel? Where do I put that?
I think that's developed, don't you? I believe that's developed. And if you're not at a point in your relationship where you can be completely honest, authentically with one another, perhaps the relationship has not progressed as the way you have thought it is.
So you're saying that you've been comfortable enough in a relationship for a man to give the example that I said, and you're going to be fine with that?
Well, first of all, I'm smart enough to know not to ask a damn question.
But it doesn't have to. That question.
I know the answers to.
It could be any question. You know what I mean? So I'll say this.
You know, I would want him to. I would want him to be kind, and that's actually one of my qualities that I look for in a man. I've had a man that wasn't kind. Like, he would say whatever the hell he wanted to say. I want a man that is kind, like not an asshole on purpose.
So let me ask you this question: If the truth that I need to convey is about you not being kind, do you expect me to still be kind?
Ooh. Wait. First of all, Miss Mosey's kind. Sometimes.
Miss Mosey sees herself as kind.
Yes, I do.
Right.
Sometimes. I know that
it's not about how you see you. How does he see you? How does he hear you?
Well, this is a good segment. Let me go segue to the comments. Hold on. Okay. So for those who are just coming in, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about communication. Do not worry if you miss anything. This will be available on my page and Jason's page, so you can see it. Will also be uploaded to YouTube, and you'll see a snippet. So you will be able to go back and see what we're dialoguing about now. So let's see. Mature men, Kiana said, mature men who are invested in the woman will have a different approach.
What's a mature man?
And then Betty said, we're gonna come back to that. Betty said, now me and my dude just talked about weight. If he would have delivered that message to me, like Barzini just said, I would have told him the kitty ain't attractive, is it? I know
right, and that could be her truth. And again, what I'm talking about, it's the responses are all preservation of feelings,
okay.
right?
Okay.
The truth does not always feel good.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So perhaps there needs to be a way to preference when the truth is going to hurt. Like I tell someone, do I have your permission? May I share, like, do I have a permission to say something? Do I have permission, like, or this might be a little harsh? But I think for me, I like to tune in, like, I'm not gonna go off of my dude and he just walked in the door from working and, you know, he had like a 16-hour day and you know, it's inappropriate. Like there may be some truth that need to be shared, but at that moment, that to me might be a little inappropriate. So timing.
Well, appropriate and inappropriate is subjective, and it's dependent upon whatever couple. And it's about knowing who you with, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know for me, I can't have an insecure woman. Okay. You know what I mean?
So when we say insecure, define insecure.
In every sense of the designation. You have to be secure in me, you have to be secure in me, in us, and yourself. You see what I'm saying? Because even a tempered version of me can be, you know what I mean? Like, again, so people look at me or see me like, oh, you an asshole, you this, and this. No, my communication style is such that I was raised in a house of men, right? It was I'm the youngest of men. I didn't grow up with mama. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't grow up with sweetie baby, and get your back rubbed. It's like, you sick? Okay, well, keep your ass in the room so you don't get the whole house sick. My dad, Pops, is black and white, you know. Now my father, he's nurturing, but he was still a man, you know what I mean? So it wasn't, you know, you didn't get all that. You fall down and scrape your knee. It wasn't, and come pick you up. Get up, you good, you all right? All right, go rinse it off. You know what I mean? And so when he is talking to me, he didn't filter, so that's how I grew up communicating, direct. Like,
so when does a woman get to know that about you? You said what? When does a woman get to learn that about you or know that about you?
When I trust her enough. When I trust her enough. Or when she pays attention. Well, the way that I communicate is not something that I ever would have to tell you. If you're listening to how I communicate, you know who I am. You, like, when people found out I was coming on your show, what was the response? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You like, you got, Barzini.
The word was raw. Jason is raw.
So, but I'm raw because I was raised raw.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's easy to peg me, but when you meet David, anybody who meets my daddy typically has this response. Oh, like I make way more sense when you meet my father.
Shout out to Pops if he comes on. And then let's see. So Andrea said, Jason forces reflection and growth, especially if you're complaining. Don't want to reflect or grow, don't ask his opinion. And then Kiana said, well, that explains everything. Hey, Brian. B-Love is on the line. I see B-Love. Let's see. Anything else? Yes, kindness and compassion. So let's segue. Because most of these talks are geared towards transitioning out of COVID. And so
tell Kiana no.
See what she say? You said tell Kiana no?
Mm-hmm. She asked, am I willing to learn a new communication style?
No. This is why we have the show with Jay, because I love that Jay is all man. And when all man, and we've had these dialogues at least for the past 10 plus years, I want to say.
I would say this, it's mostly this. I'm unapologetic. And for me, and the question, like, I know she means absolutely no ill will by that question, right? But it also implies that who I am right now and the way that I communicate is somehow wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I cannot be, we always say, hey, are we willing to accept somebody for who they are? So do I not get that? Like, if this is who I am, right, it's very unlikely that I am going to majorly change as a person and how I view. And more than anything, it's like this. It's not so much of what I'm saying as much as it is my perspectives aren't that of the average person.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I see things through a different lens than most people are raised to see things. We live in a very maternal society, right? And I don't mean that like, that's not negating like patriarchy or nothing like that. Like, that exists. But what I mean is the average person is raised by, comforted by, nurtured by mom. Even if you have both parents in the home, we still defer to mom, right? You know, when you see athletes and the camera's on them, what do they say? Hey, mom. And then when someone is close to their dad, we consider that special. Like, oh, they got to do news exposés and a whole story about somebody and their dad. That's because true. We consider that uncommon for some reason, right? Mm-hmm. But mom, that's the norm. And so we defer to how we will communicate with mom, how mom would feel. And then there's cliches that are created from that. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And we live by this. So what do? We're trained to defer to a woman's sensibilities, right?
Okay.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with looking out for someone's feelings. I'm not saying walk around and just talk reckless to anybody. Right.
Reckless.
But what I'm saying is this: at what cost do you always defer? You see what I'm saying? Okay. Because men are grown up, man up. Oh, don't be, oh, you sensitive. Oh, you a bitch. If we start to, oh, he whined too much. No, if a man is saying something over and over and over about how he feels, and it's not being heard or adhered to, and you telling us we whining, then we're going to go somewhere where we're going to be heard.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because I realized I had a whole relationship in because of that, right? And I'm looking like, you didn't say nothing. So remember, I really believe that there's a point of recognition. And we talked about this, I think you talked about this on Frank's show yesterday, and I wrote it down as the foundation. I called it TNT. Trust. Oh, what was the other T? I forgot. But one of them was trust. I'll have to find it. I got my notes. But there is an understanding that a man and a woman must come into if they want their relationship to flourish. And I think you said it a couple of days ago. You called it compromise. So yes,
you have to compromise.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. The examples that I'm giving right now, what I'm referring to is you asking me for my thoughts and my feelings. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If you want something from me, then you have to be willing to take what that comes with, right? Don't ask me and say, don't make it seem like this is about me and I can be open and we have this open communication. And then when I'm openly communicating, you make it about how you feel, right? Now, if I want something from you, then I need to communicate in the fashion that is going to make you comfortable. And that's when I'm looking out for how you feel and everything else, because I'm trying to draw out of you. You feel me? But in the inverse, you don't get to dictate what you pull out of me if you're asking me for something. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So that's where I'm coming from, because I know a lot of people are like, what he like, no. If you're asking for truth, if you really want truth, one, be sure that's what you truly want. Because there's a difference between advice and validation, or truth and validation. So if you need to be validated, let me know that. I'll validate the hell out of
you. She's gonna tell you that, baby, just validate me.
Right. Like, hey, you know, like, you got to give me a signal or something like that, you know, because if I'm like
years down the line, you may say something like that.
But no, but if you ask me a question, I'm like, you really want to know? Wait, hold up. Are you really asking me this? Bet. I'm gonna give it to you, right? But if you asking me for truth and you were seeking validation, in general, I'm the wrong person to come through for that.
Got some laughs. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I love Kiana. She said you need a nurturing woman who will give you leeway and a choke chain.
A woman, she can't give me any of that. I am who I am. We gonna coexist together though.
Ebony says she doesn't disagree with it, but I think for her it's the tone. So, and what I was saying when I said TNT, you said it was trust. The other one was togetherness and working together. But I think that's after you've already established that this is what we want to do. So before we can even get to this is what we want to do, getting past that, I just believe coming out of this era that more authentic, and I don't just say communication, more authentic, noiseless dialogue is required.
Right. But here's where dialogue breaks down, and where a lot of the questions and stuff that I'm hearing and everything else. Okay. Everybody wants to feel okay, right? You can't make my feelings about you. You can't make my truth about you. So when you tell me that I need to change my tone, no, I'm speaking my truth. And if I can't speak my truth the way that I feel it, then it's not my truth. I'd much rather not share it. You see what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of men struggle. We don't have safe spaces to speak our truth outside of the barbershop. And I'm gonna tell you this, if you ever want to truly know what a man thinks, go to the barbershop. You know what I mean? Because that's our place. We with the right? Because we know when we get home, we can't tell the truth. We have to tell your truth. Your truth is, oh, well, you know, babe, hey, yeah, you put on a couple, but I still love you. You still look good though. But what if you don't? You see what I'm saying? So carefully placed lies. Like, what did you can't ask for honesty, right? And then ask me to cater it just so you feel better. That's not being honest. You know what I mean? So it's like if you want truth, understand that it might hurt, but when you know me enough to know that it's still coming from a place of love, and I need to know that you have my feeling in my heart and my best interest in mind as well, to be able to hear my truth and do something about it the same way you expect from me. Because when you have a problem with me, you expect me to sit back and listen. You expect me to reflect, and you expect me to take action to preserve how you feel. And that is completely reasonable. Like, if I'm your man, I have that responsibility to hear you, right? When you get emotional, you tell me I ain't shit and I'm doing this and I'm making you feel this way and I'm getting all of that. And right? You expect me to be able to hear that and receive that, right? Right. So then why is the same not set up for me? And that's the central point. See, I'm reading Kiana's right now when she's saying respect, kindness, compassion, flexibility, teamwork.
Yes.
Right. All of that, I agree. But these questions are only indicative of it coming from me.
Right. So what I'm hearing though is this is what I'm hearing. It's not, I'm going to say it's specific to you, but also to whatever man or woman is dating, is she has to prepare herself. And one of the ways I would say a woman prepares herself to hear the truth is to remove her, I want to say part of it, not just her emotion, but her expectation of what is to be said. Like there has to be an openness so that he can just express himself.
It has to be a safe space. And the reality is this, it's more about knowing each other's heart. You see what I'm saying? Okay. If you know my heart, yeah, my tone, it may get, you know what I'm saying? Like, but when you know who I am, when you've learned me, you know that I'm still coming from a place of love. You know that I still love you. You know that I still got you. But right now we're having this safe space conversation so that we can get right. And your alternative, if you don't give me this safe space, I'm going to go seek it elsewhere.
You just gave me an idea. And this is for couples. I would say when you get to that place and you guys are living together, I would set up a safe space. Even if, and even before you live together, what is your safe space? If you know that we're going to the park, like this park is our safe space, then we like, hey, let's go to the park. We know that, prepare yourself because we're going to have a safe space conversation.
Right. And I want to preface this, like, y'all understand no, I'm not married and everything else. So there are certain perspectives, especially married perspectives. Do what you got to do to keep peace in your home. Mm-hmm. What I'm speaking is a lot of men's truth. They won't speak it like me, and it's not this across the board thing. But what I can say is that there's a large feeling among men that we don't have safe spaces to be able to be vulnerable and transparent, lest we be looked at as weak.
And I want to touch in on that too, Jay, because I think I know it to be true. Because I think, like, when a man leaves, let's just say in a situation where he may leave to be with another person.
Wait, hold on. Betty goes, where the hell are you going to seek it?
They asked that before, like, where are you going? Nuh-uh, Craig, we ain't doing that here. But you wonder why he leaves you for somebody else, and it's like, it has nothing to do with looks. It has nothing to do with status. It has everything to do with how his heart feels with that person.
Mm-hmm. You got to listen. Think of it from, as a woman, the things that you would do and wouldn't do based on his actions mm-hmm. towards you, how he makes you feel, right? Mm-hmm. Without you asking him, just what he does for you naturally.
Kiana said a safe space should not be a damn park. I'm just saying, if you don't want it to crack off in every room of your house,
you need a call-in number. The Saints are struggling with this one, but
hey, Tamisha needs the call-in number. We're gonna do that on the next show. The next show, we're gonna invite the audience to come on. All
right, now I'm all with it, but again, and I knew here's the major problem, and you get a lot of disagreeing and a lot of pushback. Because it's a perspective that people are not used to or used to hearing, let alone be articulated. My skill is this. I know how to articulate what men are thinking. And I'm generalizing. Of course, it stands to reason not every man communicates like me, things like we know that. When we say all, we don't mean all, right? Granted, there is no template for this. But I come from a place to where we communicate, we say what we mean. You know what I mean? So when I'm talking to my daddy, I don't, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I communicate with him. If I'm pissed off, I'll tell him, hey, nah, you pissing me off right now. Yeah. I don't, Daddy, when you say this is how you make me feel. Like, I don't.
You're not doing it in that voice.
No, because, I'm creating this, and I get the tone because I create this, because it's like, we have to get out of this. I want to be caught up. If we really want truth, truth is a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Like truth. And so you can't come sit at the table of truth with shoulder pads and a helmet on. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to take it, you got to be willing to take it the same way that you want to give it. And because if I say, babe, you know what? I want to know exactly how you feel about this. Like, no matter how harsh it is, I need you to give it to me because I want to be better in this, blah, 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 blah.
Well, see, to me, that's insecurity in a woman. Ain't no woman going to come to this man like, baby, I need you to tell me. You already know. If I got to come ask you that level of detail, you already know as a woman.
But don't assume. Don't assume, because there's a lot of stuff that we don't say to one another. And a lot because this sentiment of being kind, and I agree, yeah, we be kind. I'm not walking around the house in my relationships like, hey, bitch, go cook me dinner. Like, that's not who I am. Let's get that straight. But what I'm saying is, if you ask me a question, know me enough to know who I am.
Okay.
And how I'm going to respond to that, right? Like Andrea, she knows me enough, like, she'll warn anybody.
Girl, child. She would say, child.
You see what I'm saying? Like, if you want to feel better about here's the thing. If you want to feel better about something, especially a decision that you already know was fucked up, go ask somebody else. That's validation. Like, people want to hear, oh, you weren't wrong. I'll give you a great example. You got cheated on, right? You get cheated on. Right. And people want to hear how much it wasn't your fault. Girl, if they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat. You can't stop someone from cheating. Yes, you can. Take care of home. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people, and I'm not going to say dudes because women cheat too. I'm not saying that there's not people who don't act out of just selfishness and they're going out there and they That's not what I'm talking about here. That absolutely exists. However, this is what people like to do. You can be in a relationship and treat your partner like pure shit for years, not give them what they need in that relationship. And the minute they go elsewhere, now they're wrong. Because we don't get to, man, that mean like everybody wants to talk about the reaction, but they don't want to talk about the trigger.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
That's a tough one.
We don't want to, somebody done got kidnapped. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to read some comments. Hold on. Hey, Bruno. I see Bruno signed on.
What up, Bruno?
Oh, my gosh. Let's see. Tavisha said, when the pipe ain't right and you really trying, how do you receive it? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about it with the sex therapist in a couple of weeks when the pipe ain't right. Amen, Jesus. And Andrea says she used to pack her little feelings up in a bag and go in Jesus' name.
But here's what I'll say about Andrea, though. Andrea might hate me in the moment because of what I said, but she is such a reflective person.
Yeah.
She always goes back and reflects, right?
That's why she's your best friend, because I just go toe to toe with you.
Right. But don't think that she can't. No, she with the shits. Don't trip. But what I'm saying is,
that's why your best
also
friend.
the type that she's learned me enough to know to eat the meat and spit out the bones.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, like, what I'm saying is not gospel. You feel me? I'm speaking my truth and my perspective and my lens.
Okay.
Eat the meat and spit out the bones. You see what I'm saying? When you hear me speak, it's like, okay, you know what? I rock with that. You know what? That actually makes sense.
Now let's do some scenario. Let's do scenario playing. I'm gonna remind my son that we're live, Jeremiah. And so, amen. So, hey, Renita. I see Renita just signed on. And, accountability. That's good. We're gonna come back to that. But
accountability is sexy.
We're talking about Joe A and Jane B. And they meet up at Chick-fil-A. And they have an interest and an attraction towards one another. Joe A was raised in a masculine home. He spares no, he's very honest and forward. And Jane is Jane is a nurturer. She's a feeler. She's emotional. And they meet. And they have interest. How do they track along, especially in a time where there's something you say so key that I love. I want you to talk about this with the people. It's about priorities. And I remember you saying, just because you just met doesn't mean that I should make you a priority. Like, priorities are earned. Somebody got kidnapped over here in LA too. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Just tell them to keep my stimulus check and deduct it from what I owe the IRS this year.
That's funny.
Okay.
So you were saying they meet.
So they're trying to connect. They're trying to meet. They're trying to get to know each other. And how do you remove the frustration in the communication styles?
That's about understanding. That's not living in a template and saying, hey, you have to communicate this way because that's what I'm comfortable with. Like, are you willing to stretch? You see what I'm saying? If I want you, or if I want something from you, and I'm trying to communicate with you, or I need information from you, or then I need to communicate in a fashion that's going to be effective to make you comfortable enough to tell me these things. I need to communicate in a fashion that's comfortable for you. But if you want something from me, then you need to communicate in a fashion that's comfortable for me, because that's just basic human nature. If you want something from someone, you need to do what's necessary to get it. Ask nicely or whatever it is. I'm somebody who you can be direct with. Say it. You know what I mean? I don't really do the hinting thing, and usually I'm good. I know when you hinting, and then I'm gonna fuck with you if I find it out.
I wanted you to say that. I wanted you to admit that. Yes. Most and men know when you're hitting around, and
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Most, many.
Nope.
Many men. Who is that? That's many men.
Being born with a penis does not give you some inherent knowledge of when someone is.
You have been dating and intersecting with a number of women over a course of your life. You almost damn 50 years old. You know when a woman is hit.
But then in your next breath, you'll be talking about how every woman is different, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Is every woman different or not then?
Jeremiah, go somewhere.
Yeah, see, he was like, wow.
Yeah, 50 Cent. Thank you. It's 50 Cent. Many men.
All right. So again, we want to do this generalizing thing when it's convenient for our narrative. Like, oh, a man, like when you want to be individuals, every woman is different, so treat me like an individual. But because you a man, men, no, that's your convenient narrative. No, we are people. You see what I'm saying? And every person, their propensity to be astute in certain areas varies. You see what I'm saying? Not every man is a man of few words. I'm not a man of few words. I can go. Now, yes, I have them times where I'm a two-word you. But if I need to open up, like we're having this dialogue, so for the purposes of this, I'll be a little hyperverbal. You see what I'm saying? So,
my cousin wants Jeremiah to sit in on this conversation. Girl, no, he was raised in this type of conversation. I'm still in trauma.
So, but at the end of the day, we need to recognize that people are different. We start getting to that gender-specific behavior when it's convenient.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I want something from you, so now I need you to operate from my perspective of what men should do.
Say that one more time, Jay. I want something from you.
Right. I want something from you, so I want you to operate based on my perspective of what men should do. Now I need you to operate from my lens because it's convenient, it doesn't hold me accountable, and it eliminates the effort on my part.
Ooh, now we in here.
Mm-hmm.
We in here.
So,
hey, Asia. Hey, Janice. Hey, Katrina. Let's see. Hey, Libby. Woo! All right. Hey, Galia. I see you guys coming in. We in here now because we talked about that narrative, and women, I would say in my generation, many of us were raised in that understanding of what a man should do.
Based on who?
Based on
So let me ask you this: what should a man do?
And Betty said, don't compare your man to the next, as well as with women. Yeah. I think what you need to do, and I'm gonna come back to that. I hear you, Jason. We need to, you have to learn your man, and you have to learn your mate, which is why I said on Frank's show a while, like dating to me is about collecting data. Mm-hmm. And for me, it doesn't take long to really see who a person is. It does take some time. It's not like within the first week.
You better say hey to Betty, by the way.
I did say hey to Betty. I didn't say hey to Betty. Hey, Betty B. Hey, Betty B. Hey, Miss Wanda. But she said, he can see the comments now. Amen, Jesus.
Tell her I love you, boo.
Oh, man.
Miss Bobo.
It's about collecting data. And the sooner you get a person to be comfortable in who they are, the better you can make a decision if this is something you want to invest in.
Well, I mean, if you decide that you want to invest in something, then you invest. But what we do in relationships is...
You don't invest without information.
You said what?
You don't invest without information. You don't blindly invest in nothing.
We do it all the time. Should we do it? No, but we do it all the time.
Why do we make blind investments?
But let's go back to my question because you think you slick.
Stop it. No, I actually was coming back to it. So let's go back. So what do I think my man should do? This is okay.
No, not your man, a man.
Preface it, huh?
What should a man do? Not your man.
What a man should do? A man. Okay, I'm gonna give you the narrative. I'm gonna give you the narrative I was raised in. Okay, that's my precursor. A man should he should pursue you. He should let you know you should not be chasing a man. That's the number one thing most women learn.
So why should he pursue you?
Should I say? I didn't say most in the first. So I'm gonna say many women. Keep it consistent and congruent.
Why should a man be the one to pursue you?
So, this is good questions.
And I'm not asking that question to imply that a woman should chase a man. I'm saying, why is the narrative that a man should chase a woman?
Why? That's a good question. Why were we given this narrative? I felt like like send me the login number. Give us a few moments. We'll bring you in.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
I told you she had behind that computer. Wait.
Where is to be? I gotta figure out which number. I got a new number for her. Okay, let me send it to this one.
Right. Hold on. No. Answer the question first before you bring somebody in, because you like to do that thing to where like, oh, I got to out. Nah.
No, hold on. I'm looking for. Oh, you sent. I sent it to your thingy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the impression was we didn't want to look like we were promiscuous in that time. You didn't want to seem fast by chasing a man. A man was supposed to take care of you. You know, at that time, remember, I was raised in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay. I'm not saying that's the same narrative now.
In 2020 now.
Get excited.
So, I mean, has your perspective changed? What is it now?
My perspective is grown. It's grown. It's
that
grown.
Didn't say change.
This is what I believe. This is what I believe about relationships for me being single as well. However I start the relationship, I need to be willing to carry it that way. So if I am the person pursuing the man to let him know that I'm interested, checking in for his interest, planning, scheduling, all this, where do I see his effort? I do not know. To me, that means the relationship would go that way and continue that way. I don't want a relationship like that. I want an equal,
So how was that different than any man would feel?
Say that again.
So how was that different than any man would feel?
I don't know. I'm not a man. That's why you are on the show.
No, I'm asking you. It's like, because we live with this this narrative that because we're men, that our propensity for rejection, and our reaction to it is somehow different. Like, it hurts less. No, it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? We don't enjoy that. We do it because it's our social construct. And it's, for me, I don't believe anybody should be chasing anybody.
So Jason, we're going unscripted. I'm sending 2 people a login. I'm sending one to Andrea and I'm sending one to Timisha. Okay. We're gonna bring 2 on when they get on so we can talk. I gotta take my thing off of airplane mode to send it to Andrea. Okay. We're gonna bring them both on. But you're right. Okay, so because that is a narrative now that I believe is bigger than anything, is that we are in this place where men understand this and they use it as a privilege.
So I want to respond. I see Trinise says because men are eventually supposed to. I lost her comment.
Which one? Okay. Oh, Trinise. Okay, she said because men are eventually supposed to be the head of their household. So the first step is to choose who we can partner with. Pursuing does not mean chase.
So based on what narrative? When we say the word supposed, so to that I say we have to be very careful of our word usage. Should, suppose, and deserve are very dangerous words because it's very specific to a lens, perspective, and a narrative. So what about someone who doesn't believe in that narrative? Because that's a Christian POV, right?
Okay.
Head of household, right? What about a culture that doesn't share that narrative? How does that relationship work? So are relationships different based on spiritual belief, social construct? Like, there's, again, and that's what I say about templates. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, we operate in such a fashion that we believe things are supposed to be this way, and yet over 60% of marriages end in divorce, and even more higher percentage of relationships don't work. Operating by this very construct that we say is supposed to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So how can we say it's supposed to be that when statistically it's not working?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, what she said, one of those twist the word types. Like, no, it's not word choice. Again, it's perspective, because we choose words that are convenient And I'm like, when you X out all of that and you even the playing field, right? So a man pursuing a woman is a convenient narrative for a woman. My belief is this: look, somebody has to go first, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying who that has to be. If you notice me, I may not notice you. I may not see you. Does that mean it's not meant to be?
Okay.
No, it means I don't see you yet. Maybe you might speak to me first. Now, does that mean just because you spoke to me first or you shot your shot at me that I put forth no effort now? No, absolutely not. And that's where we get, it's usually a control game. You see what I'm saying? The person who's being pursued usually has the control and dictates how things go. Like, oh, well, you got it, me, so blah, 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 blah. A man coming to speak to you doesn't say anything other than he spoke to you.
Okay. Okay.
We do that. We're used to that because we're told we're supposed to. But if that narrative were so true, then how come so many women have so many complaints about so many men that have approached them? Where's all the leaders? Like if that means he needs to pursue because he's a leader, then how come you got so many relationships with women saying he don't know how to lead? Right? Didn't he show that by pursuing you? You see what I mean? Okay. So that doesn't say anything about him. It just says he spoke. He, in that moment, he mustered up the courage because it takes a lot for a lot of men.
Okay. Okay.
And then he spoke. But then after that, there's a whole lot. We are not inherently born with all of these things that women desire from us. And that's when we start getting to this male versus man, boy versus man conversation. Okay. Because it's based on a woman's desires, not what's actually true.
Okay.
About
me. Thank you. Hold, I gotta take a moment and acknowledge my son. Thank you, son. He just brought me dinner. Is that? I didn't understand what he was asking me at the time, but he brought me food.
Aww.
Yes. So I do take credit for the nurturing part of him. I do, because you know, we're gonna work on the side. Amen. Thank you, son. I appreciate that. He done created something too, Jay. You want to see it? Mm-hmm. It's a burger with some type of like remoulade sauce on it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Just as long as it's gonna treat your guts right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh goodness. Okay. So I'm looking at some of the comments. Let's go back to some of the comments. But I want to address that because you said that, you know, we do assume there is a narrative of assumption that it is easy for a man to approach a woman. Mm-hmm. And many of us wait on that. Like we're taught, like, give clues, like give signals, smile, and then turn your head and then click back. You know, you're taught clues. And meanwhile, he over there in his head trying to figure out, whew, okay, I'm gonna go shoot my shot. But if she says something crazy or, you know, whatever's going through his head, when what you're saying is, if you want to talk to him and you see him, just go approach him.
Or however you do it. If you sending them a drink or you send them home, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Okay. I've literally heard women say, "Oh well, if he don't come speak to me, I guess it's not meant to be." Okay. Like, really? Like, and just from just a basic logical perspective, how much sense does that make? Like, I'm supposed to notice you. You don't know what's on my mind. You don't know what my day was like. You know, like there could be a myriad of factors that play into that. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that after we meet, you know what I'm saying, or you make yourself known to me, I'm like, oh, snap. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, bam. And I just think that we find on both sides, men and women alike, we tend to find convenient ways to not put forth effort. And that's
in 2020, it's about effort on both parts.
Not even 2020, just period. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I think we have to recognize that a narrative did shift in dating. And it shifted maybe about at least 10 years ago.
A narrative shifted in just culture, period, because women in society play a much different role now than they did, you know, back in the day. You know, women aren't just in the home. Women are not only in the workforce, but leading now, you know, CEOs, executive, like all of that, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of narrative shift and change,
We have a special guest that just signed on, and I love her. I love her so. I love her so. Miss Andrea McGee.
She gonna come in. She gonna explain me to y'all a little bit. I'm pretty sure.
You know, amen. She's been working with you for years. Y'all best friends. I mean, I love her. I love her. I love her. She is my tech diva. But Andrea, introduce yourself to the people.
First of all, when you start the conversation with child, that's usually not a good.
And I'm looking for Tanisha. Where you at?
I was having an attack. I was in there like, I can't type fast enough. Can they let me in? I'm so glad I'm here. Hi, everybody. I don't know. They might throw rocks at me too by the time it's over.
My show ain't nobody throwing rocks. Amen.
Okay, cool.
I was dodgeball in middle school, so I don't even want to hit like, throw your rocks.
I know both of these fantastic individuals very, very well. Shoot, I've known Jason my whole adult life at this point, and I met Mosi probably not that much later. So have a huge amount of respect for both of you. Watch Jason just transform. He's always been dynamic as far as I was concerned, but just to see it, like the way he described me, I feel the same way about him. And for Mosi, we have worked in entrepreneurial space for many, many years. And she took me under her wing when I was new to leadership. And it's been my pleasure to be able to return the favor. So I know this is not what we're talking about, but that's my little intro.
I love it. I love it. No, get in here because you know what, Andrea, you have been a direct, let's call it a recipient of his coaching success in a relationship. Yeah. You know, if you like it, then he better put a ring on it. He put a ring on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, and navigating through, I mean, oh my God, the privilege to have someone speak to you, man, so that you can navigate through the hard spaces and the spaces you're still growing in and understanding. And do things different to receive it, not just the result, but just to have an experience, overall experience.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about Jason is just like he has been the man that I could talk to unfiltered, and then I would get the response unfiltered. Because sometimes we'll say like, oh, I wish, you know, my man would talk to me, and we often want him to talk to us like our girlfriends. And one thing that I had to understand, and coming from him, I could receive it differently because my feelings weren't tangled up in it. It's just like, we're not your girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And so you might feel a way about that, but it was like, that was the honest truth. Like, you can't talk to us or expect us to speak to you in the same way, but this is what we will bring to the conversation, or this is how we will approach the conversation. And then you have to decide if you want to navigate within that or not. And so that's like kind of one of the biggest things. The second thing, he was already talking about it, like the realization that I was like very selfish. I didn't realize, like, I always prided myself on being pretty unselfish.
You can identify selfishness really good.
Yeah, I didn't realize that I wanted everything. And you know what, and let's frame it this way, who doesn't want everything on their terms? Right. But I didn't realize like I was really operating that way. Like what I want the relationship to look like, how I want that person to treat me, how I want them to speak to me, how I want them to react. Like it had to fit within this certain construct. And it might have been based on how we were raised, or it might have just been, you know, that's what feels best for me. But I think the biggest piece of me getting to where I am right now in a relationship is acceptance. Like I had to be like, this is the person that I'm with. And not that you take anybody treating you like trash, but you have to take them as they are or not, right? Like,
right. You have that both.
It's him.
Yeah.
And I either want to rock with it or I don't. And, you know, Jason has talked me off the ledge a whole lot of times, you know. One of, like, I love to tell this story. I don't know if I have permission to tell it, but it is what it is. So, but this is unfiltered.
It's me.
I think we're okay. About it. But
and your hair is cute. Fiance said your hair is cute. It is fabulous, girl.
Thank you. My fiance. So we were long distance for a majority of our relationship, and so this was the first time I was going to visit him. And, you know, having a good time over the weekend. I think I called Jason like, oh my God, it's wonderful. You know, because you talk to somebody on the phone, you text them, you kind of hang out every now and again, but you're like, oh shoot, what if, right? And so I'm like super happy. And then he is, and still the type of person, like he likes his personal space, wasn't really excited about anybody being in his space. But he went to work and left me in his apartment, which that was not lost on me, because it wasn't like, okay, I get back at 5, go figure out something to do and let me know, right? I was able to stay there. So I wasn't snooping. I was sitting literally in the living room. I happened to look down on the floor and I saw 2 bobby pins. And I was like, immediately I'm feeling around in my head like, I don't have no damn bobby pins. And so my brain started to move real fast, right? Like,
what the hell?
His mama ain't even been here. So, right. You know, his mom lives in another state and city. He don't have sister, like anything that I could come up with, I couldn't figure it out. And so my initial reaction is not my proudest, but my initial reaction was to grab my stuff and get on the 10. I was on my way back to California. And I called Jason, and I remember him just being like, well, did you ask him? And I'm like, ask him what?
I'm on the 10.
There are bobby pins on the floor. I'm out, right? And so I'm really glad that I did ask. And those of you who know him, like it had to be the truth, because it really was the truth. You know, he gets in, I've been seething now for X amount of hours. How am I gonna approach this situation? I can't believe I'm out here looking a fool. He comes in the door, he's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, you know, and it's like, you know, what's up? And I was like, okay. And I decided to be an adult and just like, I have to ask you something, you know? And I was like, look, I literally just happened to look down and there were bobby pins on the floor. And I don't like, do these belong to somebody? And he was like, oh, I use those to scratch my ears. Don't everybody use? And I was like, what? First of all, you're going to kill yourself, all right? And your hearing. Second of all, I was like, if I would have driven home and acted a fool like that, like,
oh my God.
The furthest thing from like, who could have, would you have thought of that? Not me.
No.
Not me.
No. But it sounds like something, I talked my sands off the ledge. Like she thought a man had given her a key and it was like the wrong key. And I was like, girl, did you demagnetize a key? Like just you know, call him, talk to him. But that's perfect. Because like, many of us in our unmature or unfiltered self would have been like, I'm out. This man, bobby pins belong to women, whoop de whoop de whoop de whoop. He ain't got no use. You done told yourself a whole story.
Whole. And now here we are. I mean, and there were no more times like that, but times where I, you know, be on the phone with Jason, like, you know, I don't know. I know what we are, but there's no, you know, title. I don't, you know, and he's like, well, if you know what you are, what is the title going to change? Like it's stuff like that, you know, just kind of helps to refocus. Say it.
I was like, well, I asked you, what is a title going to change?
Right. And I couldn't answer the question because it wasn't like, and I've been in situations like that where you want to define a title because you want added stuff.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my situation. I already had the stuff. So it was like, well, I don't really know. And it was literally, well, what is keeping him from, you know, putting a title on it? You know, and so the more I dealt with that, and of course, you know, again, knowing more of our story and how the military plays into it, like it was more about him protecting me. Like, is this really what you, because by the time we put a title on it, he's serious. He's not, okay, he's not playing no games. Right. So it was more so about, this is my life. This is what comes with my life. I really enjoy spending time with you, but we can keep it just like this if you can't handle what comes with it.
That's good.
But they don't necessarily lead with that. No. They don't at all.
No. That takes some unraveling and unveiling to get to that place.
And to that I speak to, like, again, to make the parallel between communication and sex, right? How women will always go like, we need to be patient for sex and, you know, this and the third, and you make them wait, right? And knowing that we lead with physical fulfillment. Right? You know we want that. But yeah, your primary is emotional fulfillment and you want that immediately. You see what I'm saying? You want his heart from jump.
Okay.
But yet you want the expectation is for men to suppress their carnal and primary driver while you get yours fulfilled immediately. It's like, give me mine now, wait for yours, and expect for that somehow to work. Now, I'm not saying go bust it open, but what I'm saying is you have to be cognizant and be patient for it. Like the same way you want a man to be patient for your body, which is completely reasonable. You got to be patient for his heart. You can't just expect him to sit and tell you everything and it's passing because I want to know.
And when if he starts, I would say if he starts telling you everything off the back, you might want to judge the authenticity.
No, just take it for what it is. So you can't.
Sorry, Andrea.
No. Like, listen to that. How was that logical?
Let me pause and tell you, my auntie Renata said that this sounds like the son she never had to raise, and she agrees with almost everything that you have said. So she's watching. Nakia's watching. Hey, Nakia, is watching. Hey, Dominique. Let's see. And yeah, Tamisha can't log on right now, so I have a space. Somebody else want to come on, but so how did that sound logical? No, that did not sound logical. But if like you said, it's not a template for every man. But if we know that generally it takes time for a man to reveal his heart, should I not judge the authenticity of a man who's telling me everything and I met him 30 seconds ago?
That's that convenient generalizing again, right? Because you can't say, like, when I say shit that people don't like, people are quick to say, well, not every man thinks like you, Barzini, right? But now when it's something that's, wait a minute, hold up. You not being like every man, something must be wrong with you. Like, which is it?
Which one is it?
So if a man, if a man is sitting there, that's like this. We know women enjoy sex, right? And a woman knows immediately whether or not she would give it to him or not.
Okay.
Most of the time she waits because of stigma. What's he gonna think? What are other people gonna think, right? But if you eliminate a social stigma, there's a lot of dudes that you might have been feeling, and day one you might have been like, hey, you know what? I'm like, what's up? But you don't. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, but you wish you could. Okay. So now here's this day one dude that's telling you all this stuff, and it's a problem. The same way that you want to be treated, were you to sleep with a man, if you sleep with a man on the first night, you still expect to be treated like, don't judge me by that. That's a decision I made. I'm empowered. I own my sexuality. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
You want to be like, you want that understanding. So why can't he get the same if he's telling you how that particular man is deciding to tell you these things about himself early on? So, like, there's that safe space. You feel me? And it eliminates a whole lot of guesswork. You already know him, so you get to make.
Bring you a chair?
Nah, probably gonna be all right long.
You're trying to make you comfortable. You need a chair. Yeah.
Get comfortable. So,
I want to say hi to my fans, Donna, who's on Facebook. Komaa. He's a friend from Cal State Long Beach. He's a pastor. I love Komaa too because he asked me a general question one time that.
This is the man of peace. I can tell by his comments, this man wants peace in his home. Listen.
It might have been his wife responded on some of them. I don't know. So he's on, and they actually do a love relationship. I'm not sure if it's a podcast, but I know they're on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll let him tell a little bit more about it. But he asked me a question because being a woman of faith, he asked me, well, why don't you date men of faith? And I was like, see, me and Jesus' relationship is personal.
But that's a whole different path. Is your relationship with Jesus supposed to be personal or very public?
It was a good. I mean, it still stumped me. I was like,
and I'm gonna let him go down that road. But if you think about this, when we talk about that relationship with Jesus, when you in a relationship with a dude, you want him to profess publicly, right? And you want his arm and everything else. But yeah, you want your Jesus relationship to be private. You know what I'm saying, on that whoop-de-wop. You know?
So come on, introduce yourself to the people.
Well, good evening. I've been enjoying your conversation. The brother has strong opinions, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are doing this right now. My wife and I, like you said, do a show, YouTube show, podcast called The Love Intervention, and a lot of that is just about. And our tagline is kind of dating, courtship, and marriage from a Christian perspective. a lot of times when we talking, brother, I won't call you Barzini. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. Jason or Barzini, either or is fine.
All right. So a lot of times we talk about how we should do things and what we are supposed to do, and we don't get into it in the church. And that's kind of what Love Intervention started as, like having real conversations about the same type of stuff you guys are talking about, but from a Christian perspective, because you gotta be able to reconcile your faith and your relationships, because in my opinion, your faith is going to dictate how you function in relationships. So a lot of what we're talking about can be shaped and colored by where you stand personally. And like you said, like you were saying in your book, I haven't read it. It sounds interesting to me, just that journey to knowing who you are. And that's the first thing you have to do. And I'm gonna stop talking here in a minute. That's the first thing you have to do before you can commit yourself to any type of relationship, is figure out who you are. And if you're a person of faith like myself, however other people do it, you have to figure out who you are and what's important to you, and what's going to drive you. And then that dictates everything else. The way that you speak, the way that you function in relationships, what you will and won't do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 100% agree.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so let's see. We have a couple comments here. So Dominique says she agrees with titles. Let's get into that, because Andrea, that's one of my hangups that I'm working through, is like the title thing. And like you said, you told the story of how you were able to work through that knowing what it already was. And it's like, so Jason, let's talk about titles a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And should they be established, or are they necessary?
I don't think
that depends on the individual. Again, it's not a template thing. That is completely incumbent upon the two people that are and how they choose to interact. And everybody's experience, everybody's life is different, right? Title, this is what titles really do. It creates assurances. You know what I mean? Because when you put a title on something, what you're basically doing is holding that person responsible for this title. You're saying, hey, you said we're this, so these are the expectations that come with said title. And if you do not meet these, then there's a problem, right? It kind of puts the actions or the parameters of the interaction in certain boundaries. You know what I mean? And it creates a certain level of comfort, maybe.
Right.
I mean,
right. That part.
Not always. But, and I'll speak to this, like Andrea and I had a conversation with the titles thing. My messaging to her was, you have people who put titles on it and still act up. You know what I mean?
I was so mad at him because he was so
right. You know, like I have a frat brother right now, like him and his he had his woman and they had kids. They weren't married, but they were living together for years, had 3 kids, all this other stuff. They get in an argument in the car about marriage. He got sick of her mouth and pulled up to the courthouse, went inside, paid $75, got married, and got back in the car and looked at her and said, "Do you feel different now?" You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it was like, you already have this life together. Putting a title on it, not for everyone, is going to put you in a mind frame to act different, because different people value titles differently. You see what I'm saying? And so if you have 2 people who value those titles, then by all means, put a title on it. Put it like, hey, this is what it is. But you have to consider someone's experience. They might have trauma from titles and everything else. They may have trauma, so it might be like, you know what, I'm really enjoying this right here. I need you to trust and be like, hey, it's just me and you. I'm still getting to know you, and that could translate.
Communication.
Huh?
Communication. Dialogue.
Right, but
authenticity.
We always say communication, but I wrote this book because a lot of people don't know. How can a person who doesn't know themselves communicate to you who they are?
That's good.
And so you have an expectation of someone to give you information that they cannot articulate because they have not come to that revelation. And that is the reason why we have faith and religion and church and the Bible and books and all this other stuff, because these are the things that we lean on to discover ourselves and create who we are. And then I can give it to you. I can't give you what I don't have. If I don't have me, how can I give it to you? If I don't, me, how can I love you? If I don't have the means to provide for you, how can I sit there and want to commit to you? I don't know who I am as a man yet. So what are you asking of me? You're asking for incomplete pieces of me. Matter of fact, demanding it. If you don't do this.
Okay, we in there. Maisha said that she has title trauma.
Right.
Hey, what's going on, Parallel?
Right. And so in the first chapter of my book, when I say give yourself permission to be who you are, not who others expect you to be, and we enter in so many relationships being who our partner expects us to be rather than who we are, and we're completely miserable, rather than living as who we are and finding a partner who rocks with that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I see you. I know who you are, and I rock with that, rather than getting with somebody and then trying to change them to fit a mold of a perspective that was ingrained in you from childhood. That is not necessarily reality.
Praise him.
You know what I'm saying?
Jesus, love intervention.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Come on in.
I responded to Kiana earlier when she was like, have I considered communicating differently? The reason why I said no is because I walk and I operate and I live with permissive power. And here's the power of permission. I give an example. When you were a child and your parents gave you permission to do something that the other kids in the house couldn't do, you had a different swag about yourself.
Showed out. Yes, you
know what I'm saying? And then you don't tell them that you got permission. You walk in the room and you going outside. You like, ooh, mama said we can't go outside. I'm gonna go, and you got all the confidence in the world because you know that there's not going to be a consequence that they're going to get because you have permission. And the minute that you give yourself permission in your own life to be who you are unapologetically, that does not mean don't grow, don't listen, don't take. That doesn't mean that. But that means I am comfortable. I have realized who I am. And so when people talk about my communication style or my thought process or my perspective or my lens, they don't know from whence I came. So you cannot speak to that and put me in a template that makes you more comfortable. Rather, listen to what I'm saying and hear the perspective. And you don't have to agree, but understand that other perspectives exist. And we don't always have to agree to coexist. That means you can respect my perspective, respect where I come from, understand how I operate, and understand that I still love you anyway.
Venmo the offering. Venmo the offering.
Venmo, cash out.
Venmo.
The brothers, Dominique said you need a handkerchief.
Yeah. Venmo the offering.
And so I want to go to Komaa on this too, because we're talking about love intervention, because this is where we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to a place where we can understand that before we done checked out.
Right. And I think I agree with what the brother's saying, is the giving yourself permission to be who you are. And the fact that God gives us permission to learn who we are through him, right? This is my perspective, just like the brother said, my perspective. God gives us permission to learn who we are through him. And if we want to really know who we are, then we tap the source of who gave us who we are, right? So once you do that, now you're in a position to give yourself to someone else. I agree with what you said. You can't really do that. The problem is, I think, that we get into relationships and we get into or situationships, whatever you want to call them, before we figure out who we are, and then we try to mold the other person into what we want them to be at that time, which may not even be good for us at that time, because we haven't figured out who we are, what we're supposed to be, and how we're supposed to relate and react. You don't really. I talk to brothers all the time about being husbands. You can't know what it's like to be a husband until you're a husband, right? Mm-hmm. We just did an episode about this a little while ago. You can prepare to be a husband. You can prepare to be a wife, but you will never actually be ready to be either one, because you don't know what it's like to do that until you're in it, right? So you'll be in relationships, and all relationships that we have prior to, and like you said, I am a married man. All relationships we have prior to a real permanent relationship, which is marriage, we're just trying to figure it out. And the reason that we need intervention a lot of times is because we're doing everything wrong, and it feels right. Because it feels right for us to get intimate. It feels right for us to live together, because that seems like the next logical step. But all you're doing is putting yourself back, right? Okay, so figuring out what's going on. Go ahead.
I'm going to fast forward both Komaa and Barzini and say, okay, you have spent a lot of years learning yourself, man and woman. and now you meet someone,
Mm-hmm.
and you know yourself well.
Right.
Well, to the point where, you know, you're good. You go out on your own. You enjoy yourself. Like, you're not yearning for. I'm not going to. I think that's not true. That's not a full truth. So I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say that you've learned yourself. You know yourself well. Where is the intersection?
Of what?
And what?
The intersection of sharing what you know about you with a person who knows about themselves.
I mean, that's it's depending on how you interact, I suppose. You know,
Okay.
Right.
that has everything to do with the interaction. And just because you have two self-aware people doesn't mean two self-aware people probably faster know we ain't gonna work. I know who I am, you know who you are, you know what I mean? And I think, like, for me, a lot of people say, you know, as many perspectives as I have or opinions or whatever, they say, oh, well, why are you single? Because I am self-aware and because I know me. And people think that marriage, people want to gauge your aptitude for relationships based on whether or not you're married or not. I would say like Komaa said, your aptitude of being a husband would be predicated on whether or not you're married. But if someone who's been divorced multiple times is still in the same place as I, then who's really doing this thing right? I'm patient. My past has taught me to be patient because of what I've experienced. And there's a lot of trauma there. So I have to lower. Then there had to be a lot of self-discovery, a lot of some reconciliation within me. And it's an ongoing process. I'm constantly finding things out about myself that had to start coming out. And I thank God I didn't get married a long time ago, because there was things that were laying dormant in me that I didn't know exist. And perspectives and things that I had to unlearn. Now, as much as my father is a brilliant man, I idolized that man my whole life. I had to realize Daddy wasn't right about everything. And he had some very, I inherited my father's trauma and some of his toxicity from his past, because we can only teach that what we've experienced, right? So one thing that stood out for me is my daddy told me one time, he's like, son, when you get married, sometimes you just got to grab your keys and leave the house and don't tell her where you're going, you know? And I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, you know, because I'm a man, I do what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there is not a man in a happy marriage that you will probably find that would agree with that sentiment. And what that was it was a certain level of insecurity, because he had been in so many relationships and marriages to where she was trying to control him. But I decided I'm going to marry somebody who I trust and I know is secure. And if she's asking me questions, just general knowledge or conversation or something for the household, I don't have a problem telling her where I go. So it's not a matter of me trying to prove a point to a woman, but it's about finding a woman that I trust enough to be able to tell where I'm going, and I can trust her motives from asking questions or something. Like, if she gives me the space to communicate freely. Now, if you on my head, where you going, what you doing, I'm gonna shut down. That's just who I am. But if you know me enough to just lay back and understand me, you'll understand. I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm like, hey, babe, I'm finna go to the, you know, yada, yada, yada. And not only that, but I want to be married to a woman who I want to come home to. So you ain't gotta worry about me being gone long. Like, hey, it's been real, but
I want to say hi to Terry. I want to say hi to Damon.
Yeah. So
let me say, I want to say two things. Oh, go ahead, brother.
No, I was just saying it's about we want to do the work after the fact. We're so many people just want to be married and don't want to work on the marriage. I am working on my marriage and I'm single.
Good.
You feel me? I am working on my marriage and I'm single. And by that, what I mean is I'm working on me. And mostly we had that conversation how my father and I were having that conversation about predestination. You know what I mean? And so in Jeremiah, when he says, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. God had an intimate relationship with that who he had not met in the flesh yet. And then he formed us in his image and after his likeness in Genesis. So if as a man, I'm created after God's, in his image and after his likeness is his thought process, his patterns, how he operates. So whom he loved, he knew and had a relationship with before it was ever made flesh. And if we are all in him, what he was saying was he had a relationship with himself before he made himself flesh. So as a man, what I am trying to do is I don't answer the question, what are you looking for? You see what I'm saying? I am looking for me in her. And when I find that, I'm looking for the God in me in her. You see what I'm saying? And when I see that and that connection is made, then I'm like, okay, now we can kind of, you know what I mean? So I'm working on my marriage. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know like how much you can attest to that as a married man.
Yeah.
They want you to talk. Go ahead, Komaa.
Right. I want to say, I think at least two things. One, and not that you need the validation, brother, but I think it's huge that you were able to look up, because I had a father that I looked up to also. But when you become mature and when you realize that your heroes aren't necessarily infallible, that changes the way that you see yourself. And that's a huge point of growth. And I know you don't need that validation, but I think for other people that are listening, that's huge. Because my father was awesome. But one of the things I learned about being a husband from my father is that you can't learn what it's like to be a good husband by watching a good husband. Because you don't know what that's going to be like until you have your own individual wife. So that was one thing. The second thing was one of the things that gets us, I think, is knowing where we're going in the relationship. Because a lot of times we'll just kind of we'll see someone, and he was talking about men in general, but we'll see someone and we think that we're attracted to them and we think we want to get to know them, and all of our intent, men and women really, all of our intent is wrapped up in what we think they are, right? Not what we can be with them. Kind of like what you were just saying, like you prepare yourself to be the person that you need to be in just flatly in Christ or in whatever your spiritual belief is. And then you're able to give yourself to someone in a way that's trusting, in a way that's loving, in a way that's going to be complete, in a way that's going to work. But if we're just dating haphazardly, if we're just in relationships and we're just trying to get what we can get out of people, then none of that is ever going to work.
Ooh, that's
never going to be successvine, because all you're ever doing is trying to be you're a leech in a relationship. And what you want to be is a vine that gives in a relationship, right?
I'm writing that down.
If we're looking to be that, and we know that at some point, like you're saying, brother, at some point you want to be a husband, so you're trying to be the best version of yourself, so that when your wife comes your way, because the Bible says a man that finds a wife finds a good thing and attains favor from God. So when your wife comes your way, then now you guys can work together and you can submit to each other and be able to learn and grow and love and live. And most of the dating that we do doesn't prepare us for that. Most of the dating that we do is like selfish and self-gratification, and we might as well date ourselves.
Right. And that's
go ahead, Andrea, because Andrea's on her way to the altar.
And bless God.
That's good. Be a vine that gives.
I just wanted to kind of circle back to a couple of things that were talked about. I had put a pin in it, but mostly, so your question to the gentleman was about being in the space to communicate who they become or who they are. And so what I would say on the receiving end, as a woman, is learning to be comfortable with the silence, because it's not always a conversation, right? It's not like we're going to sit down on Friday and he goes, okay, chapter 1, I was born on a Tuesday, that don't happen.
That's good.
So, right? Yeah. So it's learning to decipher who he is through his actions, depending on the type of man. So mine, is very much about acts of kindness, right? So I'm able to decipher the type of person he is and what his intentions are through the way he shows love. And conversely, when he's not feeling as loving. So it's about being able to kind of read between the lines if you don't always get the lines. The second thing that I wanted to touch on was the permission part. For me, was to give myself permission to make the decision I needed to make based on what he showed, not him as in my family, whatever man, right? Based on what I see, I need to be able to give myself permission to make a decision that benefits me, which in some cases might be to walk away. And I know for myself, there have been times that I didn't want to walk away. It was easier to be in a battle to get him to change, which does not happen, than it was for me to walk away. And so I would say that to anybody, like if you know, they don't have to tell you. I've been on a couple of these, videos, and I watch people and I read comments and memes, and a lot of times it's about getting him to change, when the answer is change your location, ma'am. Change your location. He's not giving you what you want. You guys are not a match. You already know that, but you want him to somehow, some way verbalize to you that he doesn't want to be with you, when he's showing you in any and every way possible.
Or told you.
And it just
now that's the one meme I agree with, when they said never let a man tell you more than once that he don't want you,
because then it gets disrespectful, right?
Man.
It's like, how many ways can I tell you? Okay, I'm about to show you and show you and show you, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then what was private embarrassment, then it becomes public embarrassment. And that's what, generally forces people to leave when this stuff is out in the street. And you really can prevent what I call, I had self-inflicted wounds. There are a lot of things that I did to myself. Even though I was in relationship with somebody else, there was a point in time that I could clearly identify when he stopped wielding the knife and I was doing it to myself.
Ooh, that's good, Andrea. That's good.
I've done that to myself. Like in my last relationship, like the end, I was being petty. You know what I mean? Instead of walking, like I was done with the relationship long before the relationship was over. Like I was done, but I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of breaking up with her and giving her the power to say, see, look, after all I did for him, look what he did. You know what I mean? Like, nope, I'm gonna stick in here until she, and that was toxic and it was wrong. You know what I mean? But that's just where I was. I'm like, nah, like I just felt like you always need to want me to be the bad guy. And sometimes you got to just look, damn how it looks. You got to do with self, because the first law of survival is self-preservation. You know what I mean? And so you're damaging yourself, you're damaging them, not that you owe them something, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we make decisions.
Dominique said Jason Petty, no.
Dominique is in here, shots fired. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's real. You know what I mean? That's what it was. But we cause ourselves far more trauma than is necessary looking for validation in bad decisions. You know what I mean? Because we want to paint the other person as wrong, and we want all the people around us to join into that. And and you deserve, and they don't know what they got, and blah 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 blah. And like, we're looking for an excuse, and a band-aid. You know what I mean? To just walk away. You know what I mean?
I heard something. Someone say online, and I want to say it was Ayanla, but I think it was her, when she said that, and speaking to validating the bad decisions, and she said, when you go talk to your girlfriends, you shouldn't be taking the intimate portions of the relationship. What you should talk to your girlfriends about is how you are managing and what you are adapting in, not the specifics of what he did and this. That's for you and them, you and him. And I find myself in my conversations with girlfriends remembering doing that, so then you have this whole makeup of, your girls are looking at your man crazy bad, or next to him, one of them, I don't know. But now being more mature to recognize that I don't want to take those intimate problems or situations or things that we're looking for solutions for outside of our relationship. I don't think I even want to talk to my girlfriends about what I'm challenged in,
Because friends and family don't forget.
Right.
They don't forgive.
And they come up at the wrong time. Go ahead.
One of the things my father told me about relationships a long time ago was, if more than two people know what's going on in your relationship, that's too many people. And nobody and all you ever do is cause yourself harm. Like the sister was saying, you stabbing yourself. You're hurting yourself by looking for that outside of what you've already valued. If you're in a relationship, you place some value on it. So keep that value there and keep that conversation there. And if you don't feel comfortable having that conversation there, then now you may need to reevaluate that relationship.
Yeah. I remember we were having a disagreement, and by disagreement, I mean argument, when she was telling me, because I would talk to one of my family members and stuff like that. She's always asking, oh, how's your relationship? How y'all doing? And I start going in like, that's all I needed. She and I'm going in, right? Because I never had safe spaces, so this was my, and she was like, well, can you stop talking to her about the relationship? You don't get to tell me who I talk to. See, you want to do this, and you don't want to look bad while you talking, you know what I mean? And it came to a point to where I noticed that this person who I was talking to wasn't really actually offering feedback or anything constructive for me to go back and implement into the relationship. She was just asking, and then it was like, like, now I know, you know what I mean?
I got the tea.
Like, oh, and so then I had to go back. I was like, you know what? I see what you was talking about. You know what I mean? So instead of the lens, because it was always so contentious and I didn't trust her, because there was a lot of places where she was insecure. So now this place where she was actually right, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't hear her, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, you know what I mean? So going back to say you was right didn't feel great, because it was going to be something else later, to where I'm like, okay, now we back.
Wow. Well, I am looking at your time, and I want to be respectful for everyone's time, and I want to say thank you, and give us a couple more points. And one of the things I want to just summarize that we understand is that men and women do, how do I say it? We do communicate differently. And what I mean by communicate differently is how we may express what our intention is, what we feel, what have you. And so one of the things that Jason said early on is when one person wants something from the other, whoever it is, to speak the language that person can understand so that we both can receive. Is that a good summary?
Mm-hmm. It works.
I love it.
It works.
But I do want you to tell us a little bit more. So the journey of self-discovery Hello Me, Nice to Meet You is the name of Jason's book. It's on Amazon, and you can find him on Instagram at Barzini Speaks. And what other points would you like to share? Get the book. Number one, get the book.
Yeah, definitely get the book. And as you're reading, be open and be expecting, because that's the only way that you're going to receive from anything that you read. More than anything, just with life in general, it's all about perspectives. And when you operate from a place to where you understand your perspective is not the only one that exists, and you can't continue to operate from a lens that's convenient only to you, because what it does is it eliminates and negates accountability and effort, which is necessary in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, or the relationship with yourself. The minute that you try to validate wrong, or you don't want to grow, or you're always seeking ways to avoid that, you will not grow. You will not strengthen the relationship in any aspect of your life, and you will never hit the zenith of where you can be. You know, I talk about the possibility of potential. We all have this great potential, and most will never reach it because we hold ourselves back with excuses and validation. My father taught me one time, he looked at me, he was like, Jason, you have more potential than anybody that I've met in my life. And he's like, but potential ain't shit. You know, and he was eating a peach. I remember he put the stone and he took it in my hand. He put it in my hand and he said, that's potential. He's like, sitting there in your hand by itself, it's nothing. But if you plant it in fertile soil and you water and you cultivate it and you wait and you work and you're patient, then not only is it going to grow, but it's going to bear fruit exponentially. Not just one, like there's not going to be just one peach on that tree. It's going to produce after its own kind, which is also biblical. And so it's.
Woo, we're going to talk about that. Because
Daddy Hannans.
this part, and I'm going to talk about it with Andrea at some point too, because I haven't told you yet, because the fruit, like you said, you would know if a tree by its fruit, right? And so the seed is often smaller than the fruit, and it is smaller than the fruit, and the fruit is plentiful. And so when you plant something, you have to be okay with how large it actually can get.
And don't be afraid of the pain. Listen, it is not change is not comfortable. Growth is not comfortable. Just like when you were a kid and you started to grow and your knees hurt and you're awkward and all this other stuff, like, be comfortable in discomfort and understand the only thing that is constant is change. You know what I mean? And when you are willing to undergo those changes and that metamorphosis, you're going to wake up one day and you very seldom recognize the process of the change until way after the change. Like, I asked you that question of when did we become friends?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because I knew you didn't know. It was natural. It just evolved. Like, one day it's like, wait a minute, how did we get cool in like 20 years and you still can't trace the genesis? Because we have an authentic relationship, organic relationship, but we don't operate with ourselves or in our romantic relationships the same way. We expect shortcuts to something we expect to last a lifetime.
Wow, that's good.
And so that same patience that we are far more stringent with our friends than our expected partners. Like, people are trying on last names at hello. It's like, you know what, because you've expressed a romantic or an attraction,
it don't sound right.
These expectations of you now. You hollered at me, so now you have to do this, and this. Okay, where is this going? What is your intention with me? I just met you. My intention is to find out who you are, if we click, if I enjoy time with you, if I enjoy doing this with you repeatedly, if I enjoy doing this with you repeatedly.
You said it right the first time.
Or that, I mean, that's another show.
Amen.
Show.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? And so, but yeah, with a friend, it's almost, like I said, the example I gave, you've never approached someone and shot your shot for a friendship. Like, hey, how'd you like to be best friends? You gotta, you never want to say, hey, you got a best friend? You looking for one? Like, what's up?
Woo! And I'm gonna hold that conversation for the next one. Let's see. We see good show. They said bring Jason back. They can't believe we've been on 2 hours. They're like, no. Won't you talk about the friend zone on the next show, because that's exciting.
Can I say one thing before we jump off?
Absolutely.
Now, first of all, that was hilarious, brother. Trying on last names at hello. I just got to give you credit. That was hilarious to me. Like I said, we do a show, The Love Intervention. In season 1, we talked about foundations of love and how we learned how to love from our earliest relationships. We learned how to love from our parents, and then from our siblings, and then from our friends. And one of the things that we talk to folks about a lot is before you can ever really be, before you can be a permanent relationship partner with someone, a husband, wife, whatever you want to call it, you have to be friends first. Because you guys talked about sex earlier. Sex is only going to be a small part of your relationship, honestly, really. But you have to be able to be with someone. Don't make that face. Listen. If you tell the truth, sex is a small part of your relationship. If it needs to be a good part, though, don't trip. Yeah. But if you can sit with someone and be able to laugh and joke and talk and actually like being around someone, the reason a lot of marriages don't work, the reason a lot of relationships don't work, is we don't want to spend time with the people who we say we love. If you can spend the time with them and enjoy their company, then now you have something. And you should be first.
And I guess I'm going to have to say one thing, because Trinice said it, and Jason, you've said it to me before. Woo! I'm trying to hold it in, but Trinice said, and that's why she often disagrees with people who say they married their best friend, because they really didn't, but it sounds good.
Somebody imagine us married,
right?
Somebody asked me, like, oh, you should marry your best friend. I was like, nah, she got a dude.
Number one.
Like, but to that point, I say this. To me, that's BS. Like, marrying your best friend is BS. You know what I'm saying? And it's because of, and it could be semantics, but for me, best friend and wife are very different. You know what I mean? I have best friend. that slot is taken already. I have a vacancy for wife. You see what I'm saying? And if you want to be next, so because when a woman tells me she wants to become my best friend, right? Between Andrea and Maisha, I've known them upwards of 20 years, right? So what you're telling me is you want to erase my memories, you want to erase my experience, and then you want to replace them. You want to, in a short amount of time, make up for this 20 years where, you see what I'm saying? That's about status. You want to know that I hold you in a higher regard than these people that I've known a long time. You see what I'm saying? That's a security thing. It's an assurance rather than become my wife. My conversations with my best friend are much different than my wife. You have the opportunity. You keep trying to be my first, but I'm trying to give you the opportunity to be my last. You can never be you can never be my first love, but you could be my last. You can never be my first kiss, but you could be my last. You can never be the first one when I made love to you, but you can be the last. You see what I'm saying? And if you don't see that as an opportunity with me, not to say, I'm not saying I got God's gift, but like, if this is what you want, and I'm giving you that space and opportunity to be these things, then stop worrying about my best friend, because that's for me to navigate and for them to respect. And the minute that any friend doesn't respect my marriage, then we can no longer be friends. And I don't have best friends that disrespect my relationships. Or if something disrespectful happens, I don't have friends that I can't have that conversation with. Because as a matter of fact, Andrea, we had a conversation before. Like, something happened, my girl didn't like it.
He was hurting my feelings. He was just absent. And he had to be very clear about, you know, where he was in his life and what he was building. And it was like, you know, I would never, you know, step in front of the man that you're building a relationship with. And I need you to respect that I'm building with somebody. Like what we had, just like he said, like what we have is it don't take no work, you know, like we've done the work. Right. And so we're good, but this is in a foundational stage. It's requiring more of my time or whatever it was that I was, you know, kind of going through at the time. And I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, it is what it is at this point. And I think it made me see him and men, you know, I started to kind of look, is a man feeling that way about me with, you know, with his friends? Like I had never heard anybody place it like that before. And so that became, you know, kind of a measuring stick as well. And yeah, we're good. I don't, you know, if he in some BS, I'm gonna say it. But other than that, you know, have a good time and God bless.
Yeah, I think it might be semantics, like you're saying, brother. I think it might be semantics. I won't argue that you shouldn't marry your best friend, because I think that's gonna be a whole different thing. But I think that I would say that once you get married, then that your wife becomes your best friend. And that's where I would put it, because there's nobody, if in my personal opinion, if you want your marriage to work, you can't have anyone before your wife. And she should be able to say, that's the security I need from you. I need to know that there's no person on the planet, male or female, that is before you in your heart towards me. And that's how, and I think that's what, and I could be wrong, but that's how I believe, and that's what I think, and that's what I know from talking to other women and my wife. Right. But that,
and I think that's where the relationship intersect. It's like once, like it may grow into that, but to come into it saying, "Hey, you're my best friend," it may not be completely.
Well, all I'm saying is the way that I view best friend and wife are very different. My wife trumps all. Period. You know what I'm saying? And I don't call her best friend because to me it's a different title. Like it's greater than best friend. It's greater than friend. Like you are my wife. You are my life partner. You are all I need to be able to, I'm sharing myself. I'm no longer an individual. So that's why it probably is a semantics, because what I call that, like, yes, your role is, it's all encompassing. You wake up with me every morning. You see the worst parts and the best parts of me daily. Parts that even my best friend doesn't get to see. You know what I mean? And so that's, for me, it's that level of hierarchy, because that's just where I was raised. Even my daddy was like, hey, I love you. You, my daddy, my brother are the two most important people in my life. But when I'm in a relationship, my woman, like, hey, I'm with my woman right now. I'm doing, like, you know what I mean? And I didn't have to check my daddy over my woman one time. You know, we got into it about something, and he said, chill out, Jay. And I'm like, hey, like, don't ever, you know what I mean? Like, and you taught me that. Like, when I'm dealing with my woman and we going, you stay out of it. I wake up with her, not you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's
I think that's where communication comes in. That thought process is where it has to be, and it's just whether or not your wife or your lady understands that. And I think that's what I think women are looking for, just that understanding and that security and that safety.
Right. I get
so
that.
it is confirmed there will be. Well, I'm confirming it. I haven't asked him. Jason, can we do a part 2? I'll talk to him offline. People have loved you. My brother said you guys still going. This has been amazing, and thank you for the impromptu, Andrea and Komaa.
No, thank you for letting me crash our party. I am with my.
Yes, please. Hello, me. Nice to meet you.
Screenshot.
And somebody said they want a signed copy too, other than myself. So we're gonna work with Brother Jay.
I have a lot of LA family that want signed copies. COVID hit, but I fully intend, especially when I do the hard launch, the official launch, because I'm working on some things behind the scenes for that. I do plan to travel to LA and do a type of intimate event to where those who have purchased the book can come out and I'll sign it and everything else. I don't want to make it to where, I'm gonna sell books there, because
right. That's a lot to travel with.
You make a thing, but like, hey, I want to celebrate the accomplishment of completing this, and those who have it, I'll sign any copies that anybody want me to sign.
Now I didn't train him turning down no money. He don't have to have physical.
Girl, because my mind is already
copies there, but he can do orders and ship them to you later. Okay.
Amen.
You know he didn't get that from me.
So excuse me, Andrea, can you address the hello me, nice to meet you, the journey to self-discovery in your sense for your friend?
Oh, well, I think we said it, but for those who might have missed it, I've been friends with Jason and honored to be his best friend for, 19 years, almost 19 years by the end of the year. And, we've been through a lot together, thinking about, he was talking about like building the relationships. And I remember we didn't have nothing. It was friendship, because that was all we could afford. And, 4 wings and fries and a Coke from Louisiana. Now he don't even drink Coke. But, watching him become the man that he is, or step into that, because he's always been that, and recognize it and share it with other people. There are a lot of things that many people, and we call it jokingly, that know the persona, you don't know him. And so I think this book is a wonderful opportunity for you to get to know him and the heart of who he is and the things that he had to go through. Some things might be unimaginable to you, and that he has been able to package it together to be a testimony and then share a lesson with somebody else. I'm honored, honestly, to know him and to be a recipient of that stuff, even when, like you said, didn't always feel good. You don't always feel good, but it's all good. And so I appreciate that. Yeah. Definitely. I'm sure my toast, I don't think we toast, but at some point when we're thanking people at our wedding or around the wedding festivities, I'm quite sure I'm going to be crying buckets, because I absolutely believe the person that I became inside of this relationship was due to him planting seeds way early, but definitely not letting me mess up my biggest blessing, at all. And so I totally appreciate you. I know you like to ruffle people's feathers on purpose sometimes, but beyond that, you always give from your heart, and it's always with good intention. And so, we got to see that today, and that's why people want a part 2. I understand.
I do. Sometimes I will deliver things in a provocative nature, but I do so to get people to think, and then we try to bring it all full circle. You know what I mean? So if my tone is a lot of times purposefully so, because you've both had conversations with me, offline and in a much different manner. I know full well how to temper a tone to appease feelings. Yeah. But the reality of it is that there's still that need for safe space to maybe not sound so nice, or let me exercise the demons and let it all out.
Or knowing who you're talking to, right? So at this point, there are things that you could probably say to us that maybe you know, in the past, you're like, ooh, this is not the moment, or she's not there yet. And so
absolutely. There are times to where it's like, sometimes you even have to schedule time for safe space. It can't just always be, because even if I'm saying like, hey, I want to be able to express my truth, right? If you're not in a position to receive it, regardless of how I say it, it's still all for naught. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we're in this space to where we're agreeing that, hey, we're going to have this honest dialogue. This is
that's healthy. I think that is definitely healthy. We'll pick up on that when we come back. I believe the safe space. I think we keep coming back to that. So there's some power and some nuggets in there that need to be unpacked. I agree.
Absolutely. But you know, this subject is going forever. But
love you both. Facebook, thank you. You see the snippet. You'll see this on both of our pages. And
I put it on mine too. So
yeah, I'm gonna tag you on yours too. And we're gonna say bye to Facebook.
Bye, Facebook.
Okay. Woo!
Still recording in case you don't want whatever you're about to say to be recorded.